what is that Trump agenda? What is it going to look like? Obviously, we've seen throughout the campaign he's made a number of promises. He said a number of things about what he would do once he got into office. But there are a few things that I think are the most important. I have 5 things in particular that I think are the most important for a Trump agenda, the most important things that we need to get done within the first 100 days, the most important things that we need to focus on going into year one. And the first one of those is you have to shut down the border. You have to handle the immigration crisis. And the way that you do that is obviously you shut down the border on day one. Don't let in any more illegal immigrants. And you have to start your mass deportation operation as soon as you can. You have to deport every single illegal immigrant that is in this country. You have to deport every single one. I don't care if they're a grandma. I don't care if maybe they're a hardworking citizen. If your first act of coming into this country is to break its laws, I automatically do not trust you and I do not want you in this country. You have to go back. You have to go back. You are all going back. And Trump on day one needs to make sure that that is the plan and that is what's set in place and that is what we're going to get started working on. Every single one has to go back. And to push it a little further, and I do think that there is some support for this. Jim Jordan has voiced support for this. Stephen Miller has voiced support for this. There is support for this. We have to institute a temporary moratorium on all legal immigration. And I know that sounds harsh, but we have to stop not only illegal immigration, but we've got to stop legal immigration for a short period of time. Because right now, there are millions of people coming over the border illegally, but there's also millions of people coming over the border legally who many of them are probably hardworking and many of them probably want to assimilate to America. But when you look at what's going on, the immigration courts are overwhelmed. There's not enough judges. There's not enough lawyers. There's not enough infrastructure. There's not enough housing in America for all of America's citizens and for these immigrants. Many of them are not assimilating. Many of them are coming here legally, but still holding the values of their home country. They're still holding the values of their home heritage instead of assimilating to American culture, which is what they should be expected to do. We have got to put a stop on legal immigration until we can get the court systems back in line, until we can get things from being bogged down, and until we can get these people that are already here to assimilate to American culture and American values. We cannot let in another person until we know for a fact that they are going to assimilate and that we have room for them. Because quite frankly, right now, we do not have room. We are full right now. Sorry. You can't come here right now. You gotta turn around. We cannot accept anybody else. We are full. We have got to stop not only illegal immigration, but we've got to stop legal immigration for a short period of time. It's going to suck. You're going to see the biggest media psyop you've ever seen. You're going to see people arguing that, oh, look at this poor person fleeing persecution from this faraway country. They deserve to be here. They deserve to get the American dream. Maybe they do. But I think that the majority of people would agree that, as you know, while we want to open our hearts to these people and we want to help them out, we have a duty to prioritize American citizens. We have a duty to prioritize people that are already here. We have a duty to prioritize our own children, our own posterity, our own people before we start prioritizing and start doing things for people in other countries. We've got to prioritize America first. That's going to mean not letting people in for a little while. And maybe that's tough, maybe that's too tough, but that's what's got to happen. Sometimes the right decision is not the easiest decision. Sometimes the right decision is probably the toughest decision that you can make. But the right decision at this time is to halt legal immigration completely until we can get the infrastructure built up to be able to take some people in, until we can get things where it's going to be a smooth process, because right now it's not. Right now it's not. You've got millions of people in backlog who are sitting around the country waiting for their green card. We got to stop it. We've got to cut it off where it is, say we're not taking anybody else. If you've already applied, we're going to let you go through the process, but whoever the last person in line is, they are the last person for at least the next 4 or 5 years. We've got to stop it for a time because the courts are overwhelmed and the country is overwhelmed, and we cannot take in anybody else. We're full. Go home. That is so the first thing that Trump has to do on day one is stop the immigration crisis, start the mass deportations, and hopefully I don't have as much faith in this one, but hopefully halt legal immigration for a period of time. The second most important thing that Trump has to do on day one, the second thing that we've got to get done, is we've got to completely gut the federal bureaucracy. Get rid of the Department of Education. Get rid of the ATF. Get rid of all of these useless agencies. Cut down the bureaucrats. Fire people left and right. We've got to get all of these people out. We've got to shrink the size of the government. And we have got to make sure that the few people that we let stay are actually competent and are going to fulfill the agenda of the Trump administration. That is the most important thing that we can do. We have got to cut down Washington massively, big time. It needs to happen. Third, we need to start looking at the economy. And one of the things that we need to do, in my opinion, is we need to unleash energy independence. We've got to let drilling commence. We've got to start digging for natural resources again. And we've got to take all this stupid money out of these stupid wind farms that do nothing and start putting them towards something more productive. If you want sustainable energy, if you want to clean up the environment, solar. I mean, not solar. Solar is also kind of dumb. It's better than wind, but it's also nuclear. Nuclear energy. We need to be investing heavily in nuclear energy. It is safe. It is effective. It is environmentally friendly. It's better than all this other crap. Nuclear energy is the way forward. I do not know why so many people are so against nuclear energy. It is so obvious that it is the best thing that we can be using. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I have never understood it. Nuclear, please. We need nuclear energy. So we need to stop immigration, cut the federal bureaucracy, unleash energy independence. Number 4, stop these foreign wars. We gotta get a peace deal in Ukraine. There's no way that war can go forward. And you gotta get a peace deal in Israel. That war can't go forward. Ukraine specifically, you're not getting your land back. I hate to tell you. I'm sorry. But we've got to get a peace deal, and that probably means that some of your land is, unfortunately for you, going to go to Russia. And you know what? I hate it for you. I really do. I do hate it for you. But we got to stop this war. We can't let this war go on any longer. Because despite what the media says, and despite the way that the media paints this situation, if this war goes forward, if the war in Ukraine continues, you're not going to see a Ukrainian victory. You're going to see Ukraine wiped off the map because Russia is the master at waging long, slow wars of attrition that are going to grind down the resources of the country they're fighting. They're going to grind them down until there's nothing left. You've already got old men and very, very young boys fighting for the Ukrainian army. They have gone through their men like crazy. Hundreds of thousands of people have already died because of this war. And I know that they say that there's going to be no peace and no surrender and that they're going to fight this war to the end. If they fight this war to the end, it's going to be the end of their country. The only way that we're going to stop this war is some sort of peace settlement, which is going to mean, unfortunately for them, that they're going to lose some of their land. I hate it for you. I really do. I genuinely do. but I hate the killing and I hate the innocent people dying more. And if stopping the war and stopping the death means that you lose some of your land, that's a price I am willing to pay, and I hope that you would be too. And it will also be good for the United States because we won't be sending you billions of dollars anymore. But that's a side point. We gotta stop the killing. We gotta stop the fighting. It has to stop. And then the fifth thing that President Trump needs to focus on once he gets into office is reining in and hopefully destroying this radical trans agenda. And I know that he has already said that he's going to ban men and women's sports and that he's going to get rid of gender reassignment surgeries for minors. That's not enough. You've got to go full force on this one because this has been the biggest source of cultural decay in American history. Some of the libertarian minded folks among us will probably argue that if you're an adult, you can make your own decision, you can do whatever you want. If you want to, if you can't do it to a kid, but if you're an adult and you want to get a gender reassignment surgery, that's fine. That's not fine. That's not okay. I'm sorry to tell you, it's not. It is a huge cultural ill. It is destructive to our country, and it needs to stop. Wholesale, completely needs to stop. We have got to get rid of this trans agenda in the United States. It needs to end tomorrow. It needs to end today. It needed to end yesterday, but on day one, Trump needs to be taking steps to end this in the United States. These people are sick people. These people need help, but that help is not going to be gender reassignment surgery and hormone therapy. We cannot allow that. It is destructive to our country. It is a denial of the basic laws of biology. It's a denial of the creation of God in human beings. We need to stop it. Completely wholesale need to stop it.